In progress.
Hello and welcome to episode 45 of Let the Story Write Itself. I'm Sarah, and this episode is Reclaiming Your Time and Energy mm, from Busy to Intentional. Today, I want to ask, when was the last time you felt in control of your own time and energy? If anything, a lot of times our calendars are full of to dos and never ending tasks, but our energy does not feel directed. It instead feels scattered. It feels like you're doing a whole bunch of things, but they don't really lead to anything in particular. There's no particular purpose, right? There's not a meaningful, cohesive structure. And so, it sounds cliche, but it's easy to be busy while not actually being in alignment, not being productive in that sense, making progress towards certain life that you actually want. When I was going to university, I had this feeling like, okay, so you're doing something just because you're doing something and society says like, wow, this was like good, as you get that applause. I always knew deep down within, I'm like, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything right now. I don't feel good. I don't feel like I'm actually doing the thing that I'm meant to do, right? So even though you can be doing something and doing all this stuff, right? Like if you go to university, you can complete a degree, which I did. A lot of times that it's like, would you not consider that being productive? Would you not consider that accomplishment? Because I tell you what, when completed the degree, I didn't even want the completion certificate, like the degree. I didn't attend my graduation because to me, it was not an accomplishment. I felt like I was not doing the things that were meaningful to me that I was actually called to. I did not feel like I was living my life on purpose. And it was like this feeling of like I was not living my own life. And so there's this weird dichotomy where, there's this feeling of like looking in from the outside, even as you're in your own life and being like, well, am I not actually doing the thing? And sometimes you might not even actually know what the thing is. And it wasn't until I started just like
But then Michelle
surrendering.
Fitz, who was on before.
I surrendered and I allowed myself to just hone into what exactly is it within me that's going on. And when I got out of university, I went to psychotherapy basically. I enrolled myself in psychotherapy at the university because I knew that I wanted to talk. I wanted to share about my own personal experiences, not just talk about information or, this and that, right? Things that are just information. But what is the meaning of information? It's just scattered data, right? So I wanted to share more about what is going on within me? How does my life actually what are actually the pieces of my life that make sense and that are meaningful and that actually converge towards something? And that also led to me living more heart led. Following university, I lived less from what should I do? What are the other people telling me I should do? What's the path that I'm told I should take? And I started just weaving my own path. I started writing my own story, essentially. I started doing like different volunteer projects and doing things like going around my own city, like wherever I felt called and exploring new activities and going beyond my comfort zone. Started traveling alone more, began taking public transport. I'd never really done that before. I'd always just been driven around. I started bicycling around more in my hometown and just exploring more on my own essentially. And all of these things, it really started aligning me to my true self. I started eating more foods that were in alignment with who I really was, whether that was like more fruit or just certain types of foods that were more nutritious than what I normally would gravitate to. And it's just like my time became a lot more sacred. I was less willing to do things that were not, after my whole ordeal at university, I really made like an internal point. I'm like, you know what? That felt like such like the biggest waste of time. And yet everyone for some reason everyone outside of myself was like applauding it in a sense. It was like this feeling of accomplishment. And yet within, I knew I'm like, well, I don't feel that way. So, really, internally, I made a decision at that point, whether I said it consciously or not, that I needed to listen to myself because other people had no clue what actually I felt. And you know what they actually thought, I realized really had no bearing on my life because not only was I not even going to search for a job in the field that I just studied, I knew that I I just spent 5 years at university and didn't even necessarily have a good time. Like the journey itself is as important as the destination, right? And guess what? Even though I went through the 5 years for the degree, not only am I not using the degree, the whole 5 years I did not necessarily enjoy myself. So it's like both aspects of that just were not to my benefit. And guess what? No one else has to live that life. It's just me. So at that point, I realized no one actually really cares that much about my life regardless of how it turns out, regardless of the experience that I'm having myself, people will just say whatever they want to say or however they think. And that's when I realized I'm like, you know what? No more listening to other people because they are totally wrong. They don't even know. They don't even care. Like at that it was just the root realization. I'm like, no one actually cares that it's almost like empty talk. It's like they're just saying stuff because like they're just parroting what they say or, it's like they don't actually know essentially, is the conclusion that I realized. And at that point, I just like, you know what, it's even better to just experiment and like, you know what, there's no clear right or wrong answer. In my mind, there was a clear wrong answer. I'm like, university 100% was not the right course. If I felt it, I could trust it. And it was that experience that allowed me to be more in tune with my intuition and to recognize that I could listen to that over the noise and voices of other people because one was not more valid than any other. So being busy, or doing things just for the sake of doing things is not actually a plausible. It's being intentional and it's being in cahoots with your own intuition. It's surrendering. It's listening to what's going on within you. And a lot of times that's getting into it's listening to the energy. Like where do you get your energy? Where do you light up? What things naturally pull you? What things naturally interest you? And where does your mind naturally go? These are things that, I was always into thinking about the things I would normally think about when I was like studying at university are the things that I've always been my whole life. It's like even though I was in a particular circumstance, studying a certain thing and putting myself into a particular box, who I am was always showing up no matter what. It's like much of who I was then is still who I am now. I just happen to be like contorting myself to like fit a different role. So when you really kind of allow yourself and just and just allow who you really are to shine through, there's nothing really else to. It's just not covering it up with a mask or trying to pretend to be someone you're not, essentially. Because like, I think a lot of times we try to pretend to be someone that we're not actually, and it's a lot easier to just say what you mean and mean what you say, essentially. So, you know, it's easy to just say, well, focus on what matters, but a lot of times it's not even leading from your mind, like not thinking about it. It's like it's moving from your mind to your body and almost just like dancing, like flowing, just like moving, like almost like you ever have had the experience where your body just kind of automatically like starts moving a certain like it's kind of already made the decision and now you just got to get your mind on board. So it's kind of like flipping the script and instead of like leading with your mind, leading with your body and it's like okay, your body has already decided. Now just make sure that your mind is in accordance with that. And that's what happened to me, like, over the course of the in-between years between finishing university and unraveling from that whole mindset and pattern and conditioning of being someone that I wasn't really, I began to allow myself to just listen a lot more to my heart, my spirit, my intuition, right? And that's where, I started just moving more in a more natural, easy way, more spontaneous way, whether that was just exploring, going where I felt led, wherever I felt like going, being who I really just felt called to be at any given moment, even if it didn't necessarily have a particular step by step plan or like a roadmap like planned out. It was just like it was just allowing myself to feel good essentially. And a lot of times that can be a map in itself. Like if you allow yourself to feel good, that will inform your next move and suddenly you create your own path. So, this episode has really ventured into talking about moving from being busy to intentional, reclaiming your time and energy. Because if you, every moment, time is so precious. And I realized that from all the time that I spent at university, not even enjoying the journey. If you really start being so intentional with every single moment of your life, being in that space of joy and heart led movement, then you start to create more boundaries. You start to say no. You start to be a lot more decisive and have more non-negotiables and like auditing your time more. You're able to more clearly see where you can more decisively say yes or no to certain things. And you start to see the high impact activities that actually move the needle for you in a sense, like light you up and where you feel energized, you feel clear minded, you feel creative. These are the bodily wisdom speaking through you. These high energy feelings and good states of being are it. It's exactly how you know that you're living in your best state when you feel good, when you're lit up, when you're energized, enthusiastic, excited. So pay attention to your body. Let your body lead over your mind. Your time, your energy, these are your greatest assets. Reclaiming them isn't about getting more done or just doing. It's about making that space for simply being. And in that space is where your life truly unfolds. And it's in that space that you find that you allow for the meaningful because what gets created from that space and from that intention is something that your mind is not dreaming up. It's literally coming from somewhere much more authentic and truthful, which is simply your intuitive knowing. It's the part of you that doesn't have to think because it already knows. It's simply just being. It's what I was saying, referring to earlier, that who you already are is already coming through. You've just got to let go of any way that might be blocking it or masking it or causing it to be hidden in some way. It's like that it's like that and now that philosophy of let go, let God, right? It's like when you just surrender, there's nothing to do because who you already are speaks so loudly. Don't don't bury her. Like don't let her be covered up by all of the noise and the mess that might be trying to distract, right? So, this has been an episode on energy management essentially, setting boundaries, and being the character in your own story, not someone else's. So this is episode 45 of Let the Story Write Itself, reclaiming your time and energy and moving from being busy to intentional.